Oh.
Each other as long as they want to. They get their ass the fuck out of here.
Stand up now or fading down. They lock us down, steal our rights, sell us dreams to dim the fight. Tell us wait, just trust the plan, while they take more from our hands. But we ain't sleeping, we ain't blind. We see the games, we read the signs. No more silence, no more shame. Get mad, get loud, ignite the flame. Get mad, get loud. Shake the ground, wake up the crowd. No retreat, no backing down. This is our fight. This is our sound. They push us back, say stay in line. Spin their words, rewrite our minds. But the louder we get, the stronger we stand. And we ain't done till we take back this land. They cage the truth, we tear the bars. They dim the light, we burn like stars. They stack the deck, but we rewrite fate. This ain't submission, this is rage awake. This is our sound. Break free, break through, tear the walls. No more sleep, we take it all.
Hey, welcome, everybody. Man, it's a beautiful day. The energy today of the Schumann resonance. Oh my goodness. I hate the word reckoning, but my body has definitely caught on to the energy spikes going on today. And I'm seeing it as I'm talking with others as well. They feel weird, feel things that I can't explain. Unfortunately, Friday I had a little bit of an accident and pulled a muscle in my back. Actually tore it. So I'm in a little bit of pain, but when this energy spike came today, woo, everything went to acting up, right? And it's supposed to be a good thing, folks. So just hang in there. Be grateful for the changes that are being made. Even though we may not fully understand them right now. And understand that, we have to do everything we can to empower ourselves. And one of the biggest things that we've been talking about is going within, right? Is going within, right? And knowing who you are. Maybe not remembering every last bit of, your Akashic records right away, but knowing who you are right here, right now. Knowing enough to be confident and say, I am who I am and I'll not ever be who I'm not. And growing and learning, shedding the traumas from throughout the years, the spiritual traumas as well as the physical traumas that are attached to those spiritual traumas. Finding more truth and building a stronger foundation with truth. All of those things we are very capable of. But one of the hardest things we've had to shake not only is with everyday people is it's been this whole financial piece, okay? And we talked about this several times. The RV may not even happen. I'm pretty sure it won't. If it does, it's because it's the whole thing is being, any part that is attached to the U.S. corporation has to be drawn in to be dumped, and that's what Trump's job is, to liquidate the assets of the United States corporation. That's why they're pushing Bitcoin after he said, it was a scam in his first term, right? Well, now we're several days beyond 3,000 days into his third term. And, we're coming to the part that we warned everybody about. Okay. And then we found out the other day he signed BRICS secretly behind closed doors. So what is the BRICS BlackRock U.S. Power Index? And, we've described that several times, folks. It's a temporary synthetic reset, as well as the ability to maintain mind control and control over the resources of the land, including the people. All right. And if we allow it to happen, they will maintain a portion of control of that subset in the codex of people who don't wake up. And there's nothing we can do about some of them, right? And there's nothing we can do about waking people up right now. We can just continue to share with them, that reality is what we make of it, not what we've been dealt, not the hand or cards that we were dealt by somebody else. There's a saying going around that's been going around for many years. You better mind your business, or because if you don't, someone else will. Right? And it can be said many different ways. Tonight, we're talking about the U.S. BRICS and BlackRock and the relative power index. We know the movie's over. We won. But the takedown is something we've never seen before. And the manner for which it's being done is we've never seen before either. We continue to latch on to old ways of thinking and thinking that's how justice is going to be served. When we learned that natural law, justice is served naturally, and it will be. Okay. So, out of the many different ways we've been sharing with you about the financial piece, how we're supposed to pay our bills is a big topic in our chat discussion, in all our chats. Miss Glenda wrote a good piece about that kind of gives you an overall view of the what's and whens and hows and how-tos. I'll be sharing that later on in the show, maybe, or first thing tomorrow in tomorrow's show. We want to get everybody a fair chance at standing up for themselves and their rights, and let them know, hey, we know there's too many of us. I shared this earlier today. There's too many of us that are aware of the truth. Rod posted it. Okay. Let me go here. And of course, I just shared it because I couldn't help but agree with it. All right. This is right here. There are far too many eyes on the truth now. The secret monkey is right. Outlaws rising, and we see the devil today. Thank you, elders, for your wisdom. All right, folks, that has been more true now than it was when we were saying it back in 2020, and we didn't catch this whole thing with the Aboriginal Indigenous. And we've been digging into it. We've been digging into the free energy. I did a little post on it. I'm not going to talk about it much, but here it is about Mercury, the hidden key to free energy. Right here, we thought Mercury was a poison, right? Well, you guessed it. They lied to us again. While we're fed myths of fossil fuels, solar panels, and wind turbines, the real power source, the one that defies mainstream physics and shatters the illusion, was buried beneath centuries of suppression. Mercury. The ancients knew. The so-called elite still know. But you were never meant to know. Mercury is not just a metal, it is a liquid light, a divine conductor that dances between matter and spirit, revered in Vedic text, embedded in the myths of Hermes, engineered into the core of Vimananus, if I said that correctly, the flying craft of ancient India. This is the blood of the gods and the ultimate key to limitless free energy. Let this sink in. Excuse me. Mercury defies time. Its motion is near instantaneous, transmitting vibration into force faster than any known substance. It responds to electromagnetism, sound, and even consciousness. When spun into a vortex under the right conditions, it taps into the 0-point field, the infinite energy reservoir that surrounds us all at all times. It powered ancient anti-gravity craft, harmonic machines, energy devices, and very likely the inner workings of the Ark of the Covenant, pyramids, and so-called flying shields of antiquity. So why has it been demonized? Why is it restricted, hidden from curriculum, banned in lavatories? Because if the masses knew how to use it, the control systems would collapse overnight. No more utility monopolies, no more oil wars, no more economic enslavement. What you were never taught, Mercury is only dangerous to those who ruled through ignorance. In the hands of those with knowledge and wisdom, it's the conduit of freedom. They called it Quicksilver, Azoth, the blood of the dragon. But make no mistake, it's the energy of liberation. Basic free energy prototype, conceptual overview. For educational purposes only. Modern versions often use gallium or other alloys due to mercury's toxicity if mishandled. Core components: a toroidal chamber, sealed glass or ceramic ring containing mercury or alloy for vortex creation. Rotational drive: it's magnetic and gyroscopic system to spin the mercury at high speed. Electromagnetic field coils to pulse and agitate the mercury, activating the etheric vortex. Tesla coil or RF oscillator for generating high frequency oscillations. Resonant cavity tuning to sync the system with earth harmonics. Energy capture system: copper or graphene coils to extract usable current from the vortex. The system creates a self-reinforcing loop, energy it pulls, which increases spin, generating even more power. Why mercury? Superconductor, even better than copper, reacts dynamically to magnetism. Liquid at room temp, perfect for continuous flow. Holds vibrational memory, reacts to frequency, sound, and intention. That's why the ancients sealed it into pyramids, tombs, and flying craft. That's why modern science buried it. The visual evidence: ancient free energy architecture. This image is just a beautiful dome. It's a harmonic energy device, a receiver, a converter, a transducer engineered using lost principles of asteric physics. Here's how it works. Copper antenna sits on the pinnacle, drawing in subtle etheric energy. Mercury vortex chamber spins liquid mercury into a toroidal field, tapping 0-point energy. A harmonizer can play, tunes frequencies to coherence, no chaotic energy allowed. The resonator, which is known as the bell or the dome, amplifies sound and frequency, converts harmonized energy into resonance. Frequency chamber converts energy into usable form, stored and emitted via piezoelectric stone in sacred geometry. No wires, no combustion, no fuel. just resonance, geometry, and the ether. Could it be rebuilt? Absolutely. With modern materials and sacred principles, mercury or safe alloys in a quartz-lined torus, coals, and copper tubing for direction, resonant chamber with the bell and the dome form crystal or magnetic stone foundation. Captive interference for output. The truth, much of this is already being rediscovered by quiet inventors and bold researchers around the world. Here's a final thought. Mercury is the medium, vibration is the key, consciousness is the ignition. When these three align, the gateways open. They said energy can't be created or destroyed. Lie. Energy is infinite. You just need to know how to tap into it. This isn't about inventing the future. It's about remembering the past, the knowledge that was stolen, suppressed, and now re-emerging. We are the ones waking up. We are the ones who will build again. Let those with eyes see and those with hearts know. Mercury is not a poison, it's a torch, and we're taking it back. Thought that pretty cool, right? Talk about power, energy, right? You can see here in the picture, very simple. The mercury piece right here, the frequency with the bell dome, and then the conductor frequency there at the bottom. Pretty badass, pretty simple. And we used to have that stuff showing all over the world, right? Especially here in the United States. This is Rod posting about the energy, all right? The Schumann resonance, Earth downloading new solar sun codes and responding in a Schumann reaction that uses weather to cleanse before the flash, right? So a lot of this weather is a cleansing, folks. Got to remember that. The good guys are spraying now, all right? We've proven it to you. It's been backed up by several people, including Chief Pontiac, Todd Street Bay, and the Morris science. The same Earth to Sun communication that alters weather affects DNA expression, giving ascension symptoms to certain people's upgrades. You may be experiencing that with these spikes that are going on. And of course, there's the night show. All right. So, Sheepdog, what do you think about the Mercury situation?
Yeah, it's high science. It's also that stuff's still on top of the buildings. People just don't know what they're looking at.
Right.
But I was watching a movie the other day, Tropic Thunder.
Oh yeah.
They mentioned it, Mercury being in the movie. But if you don't know what they're talking about, then you won't catch it. But yeah.
Right.
Yeah, they pretty much. If you look at the movie called what was that called? The Village. There's another movie called The Village where the people leave society and they go out in the middle of the woods and then they raise a family out there and they think they're in the 1800s or 1700s or something, but really they're in the current time. But they had a no-fly zone over there. So I think after they pretty much stripped us of all the technology, is pretty much where we're at right now as a society as a whole. We don't even realize it. We think we're getting all this new technology, but it's just regurgitated old, ancient stuff that's been out for a long time, especially if you look at the motherboards and the computers, all that shit's old. These iPhones, tablets, it's all old shit. Because Satan can't
well,
make
we
anything.
have a society that's tricked to fit. Yeah. Go ahead. Satan can't make anything what?
Yeah, he can't create anything, so they just copy it. They're not creators.
Right.
So they just give us the stuff that we've always had, and they sell it to us via the corporations and stuff like that. They're just selling us old technology.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that. You know, you talk about the iPhone being old technology, yet and still we have a society of iPhone enthusiasts, if you will. I think it's a polite way to put it. Don't get me wrong, I like my iPhone, but we have, you know, these that'll camp out for days ahead of time waiting for the new one to come out, right? Um, Kind of like waiting to get Super Bowl tickets or the concert tickets, right? They do that for these iPhones too, and it's all old technology. You know, it's that's a part of waking up. It ain't Folgers in your cup, folks. Wake the hell up, right? This shit is old. Wait do you see what they've been hiding from us, the full strength, right? Get straight to the point when it comes to certain topics. And I wanted y'all to be able to hear how he lays it out for the U.S., the BRICS, and the BlackRock, the relative power index, because it's going to play out. It's going to play out, and um, we are we it sucks that it's going to play out because you know we need so desperately for so many to get rid of the old paradigms, and this is definitely one of them, right? When it comes to the financial sector, they don't realize how much the banking cartel, known as the Federal Reserve and beyond, the central banks, right, and the intelligence agencies are all in cahoots with each other through the banking cartels, and how much they actually control, right? How much they are able to manipulate, monopolize, fraud, fraudulently earn you know their fake money and their monopoly money and continue a narrative. And if we're not careful, you know, this will be a narrative that sucks a lot of people up um, into it, as we've already seen it already has. I mean, people have hated me for going against the synthetic reset, you know, and it's okay. I don't fault them. I get it. Um, you know, it's we really have to understand that we have to go from centralized setting on all fronts to a decentralized setting and bring it all back local, right? Because when the collapse does happen, folks, we're all going to find out very quickly what it means for no government interference at all, right? Outside of the clans, outside of the tribal clans on the land doing their part, right? And you can see them standing up all over the place. Mr. Sheepdog sent me one earlier today, and they're showing people in the United States how to get their ID right through their systems. You know, so we're getting more and more resources available to us. And we absolutely are, you know, just trying to capture in our mind the narrative and the overstanding of its reverse, because what we're seeing right now is what we call a reverse. For every positive or negative, there has to be another positive or negative, right? There has to be balance. Yeah, I agree. I agree, Don. Things are getting ready to get real good. I think so too. I think it's time. So I'm not gonna play all 49 minutes of the shaman here, but I'll play enough of it for you to get the gist of it. Y'all enjoy, because I love the way he lays things out, and he's very plain and easy to follow.
when I say that the West lies all the time, that they do nothing but lie, and that they literally can't help it. They really literally can't help it because they are fundamentally and foundationally estranged from the truth. They don't have access to it, you know. I'm not saying that as an insult. I'm not just lashing out at the West or something. No, you have to understand this is factually accurate. It's true. And there are massive complex ramifications from this fact. You know, you can't just say that the West are all liars and then click your tongue in contempt. Do you understand? There are whole systems of thought, systems of government based on those systems of thought, academic disciplines, fields of study, you know, economic, political, societal frameworks, and interpretive paradigm for understanding the world, all of which we have adopted. We've adopted it and taken it seriously. And all of that has been built by and for a so-called civilization that lies about everything. This is a disaster. I don't think you understand. It's like if you were a contractor, say, or an architect, you know, a builder, and you get hired to build a house. Someone hires you to build a house or to build a structure on a certain plot of land. Okay, now the one who hired you is giving you all sorts of strange demands, odd instructions, you know, farcical requests and stipulations of how he wants the building to look like, how he wants it to be. And you do what he wants. You follow all his instructions, and then he changes his mind. And then you need to redo the work. You do all these time-consuming, tedious things that he's asking for. And finally, the house or the structure is built, but it's not architecturally sound. It's structurally flimsy. Nothing works. Stairs go to nowhere. The plumbing is tangled. The electrical wiring doesn't work. It's all a mess. On and on. It makes no sense. It makes no sense to you as an architect, as a builder, until you find out that the man who hired you is actually criminally insane and he murdered dozens of people. That's why he wanted you to build a house. You thought you were building a house, but all you were actually doing was building something to hide the bodies. All you did was cover a mass grave. And that man didn't care whatsoever if anything in that building worked at all. All it needed to do for him was to conceal his crimes. Do you see? That's the West. But now you're taking all of those instructions of that criminally insane person and putting them into your textbooks, putting them into your schools, into your minds. Even all of those instructions were only given for one purpose, to conceal his victims, you know, to misdirect and to conceal building a sound structure. It was always just a cover-up. Once you realize that, then you realize that everything that you got from him is useless. I mean, it's useless to you. It's useful for them for the reasons that I mentioned, but it's useless for you because it's all lies. It's all based on lies. Your sociology, your economics, your political philosophy, your political science, your theories of this and that and the other. No, it turns out it was all just a cover-up, you know? GDP is not a measure of a healthy economy. That's like measuring someone's bicep to try to measure how strong they are. But see, that's exactly why they do it. That's exactly why they do what they do. Cover up and misdirection. Military spending is not doesn't show you how strong your military is, but that's what they want you to measure, and that's what they want you to think that you are measuring is the strength. You see, it's all cover up and misdirection. You see what I mean? Their whole so-called civilization, the core of the rotten, and the core is rotten. The core of it has always been that they have never understood properly how to assign value to anything. They give value to what is worthless, and they treat as worthless what is valuable. And they do that in every sphere. Okay, so we're talking about a whole system of thought, a whole system of government based on that system of thought, economics based on that system of thought, and so on, all built on lies, misdirection, confusion, and misassignment of value. Right? It's a worthless system. It's a useless system. It's a rotten zone. And you and I are going to have to come up with our own system, our own thought, our own fields of study, our own disciplines, our own way of understanding the world, our own paradigms, our own interpretation of reality based on our own sources of knowledge. And I mean, you have to dismantle everything that they gave you for understanding the world. You need to remove that lens that they gave you to look through, because it just distorts everything. You know, have you ever put on someone's glasses, right? Someone's glasses that aren't your prescription glasses that are not designed for your eyes, not designed for your vision. Well, you can't see in those glasses. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave you prescription lenses. He gave you exactly the prescription that you need. And if you try to wear any other lenses, it will only make your vision worse and you'll be walking around blind, especially those Western lenses, because in fact, they didn't give you anything but blindfolds. That's what they gave you. They gave you a blindfold and called it glasses. But once you take the blindfold off, you take off those blinders and you get your prescription lenses back on, then you can start to see the way things really are. So for instance, for me, with Middle Nation, with my content, I know it doesn't fit into any standard categories. You know, is it analysis? Is it commentary? Is it forecasting? Is it critique? Is it political? Is it economic? Is it social? Is it left? Is it right? You know, on and on. Let me just think about that. The kind of analysis that I do, people generally describe it as, and I've even described it myself as, geopolitical analysis. But that's not quite accurate. I've only said that because there isn't really a specific that has a name for what we do. I'm not fundamentally interested in geopolitics as it is traditionally defined. My work, the work of Middle Nation, is focused on the analysis of power dynamics and then how those power dynamics play out or how they're likely to play out. You know, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said that he puts one people in check by means of another people. He said that there are people who are higher ranks than others, that some have what others do not have, and so on. He said that struggles and battles are go by turns. All of that has to do with power dynamics and understanding who checks whom in this world, or who predictably could check whom. It seems to be pretty basic information that you're going to need to have if you want to understand what goes on in this world. Geopolitics in the conventional sense tends to fixate on the relations between states, you know, borders, alliances, treaties, military positioning, and so forth, which is basically like looking at the stage and the actors on the stage, but not looking at the directors or the script writers. But the Middle Nation approach goes further than that. We look at who actually has power, regardless of what kind of power that is. Now, that includes state power, but also, of course, it includes private sector power, financial networks, media empires, asset managers, transnational corporate systems. These are not traditionally part of geopolitical analysis, but they're absolutely central to understanding the exercise of real world power. I mean, in my opinion, if you ever listen to an analyst, so-called analyst, talking about politics, talking about geopolitics, and they never factor in corporate power, they never factor in private sector power, the drivers of economies, the real drivers of policy, well, that's an incredibly shallow and ultimately misleading so-called analysis. So whenever you evaluate a situation, you shouldn't be asking, for example, what is the United States government doing? You should be asking, who is shaping the outcome? Who can impose costs? Who can alter behavior without being altered in return? Once you identify the who, then it's not that hard to understand the why. What the desired is, and try to deduce, given what you know about the who, what are the chances that they're going to be successful? And then what might be done about it? So this could be a country, it could also be a corporation, it could be a consortium or an investor network. So you need a way of gauging real existing power, relative power of any given actor, of any given entity that has influence over policy, or that wields, you know, significant degree of power in any given society. That's why at Middle Nation, we developed what we call the Relative Power Index, RPI. The RPI is a model for roughly calculating functional leverage between power entities, or the general standing of any given actor in terms of power relative to others. We built that because the existing metrics, you know, GDP, military size, alliance structures, and so on, these are often misleading. They reflect the appearance of power, not its realistic functionality or its operation, you know, because a country might be rich, but dependent. A military might be large, but strategically irrelevant. A government might be in office, but not in control. So the RPI is designed to identify real influence. It includes factors like decision-making authority. Can you impose binding outcomes? Control of inputs. Do others rely on you for what you control? Narrative control. Can you define reality for others? Immunity to retaliation. In other words, can you act without facing consequences? And your adaptability reserve. Can you survive and pivot through disruption? And it also measures negatives, the vulnerabilities, like direct dependence. How directly dependent are you? What's your exposure to disruption? And what's the perceived vulnerability of your state or your power? And this model is not static, necessarily so. It evolves because power is not frozen, it flows. And as the world shifts from the West to the South, from centralized empires to distributed blocks, the tools that we use to understand power have to try to keep up with those new dynamics. And like I say, everything that they gave us to measure power, well, they designed it so that we would always mismeasure power, so that we would see power where there isn't power and see weakness where there isn't weakness. They never wanted us to understand the real dynamics of power and the real dimensions of power. So that's why even the system that we have for measuring power has to be flexible, because something new might emerge that actually constitutes power that isn't in any existing metric, any existing system of measurement. You know, something that wasn't powerful 20 years ago, or didn't constitute power 20 years ago, may constitute power today. So again, like I say, we have to develop our own systems, our own method for identifying what power is and what the relative power is in relation to others. We have to come up with our own formulas. We have to come up with our own system for measuring, because there's a big difference between, for example, looking powerful and being powerful. That's not the same thing. That's a distinction. The Mission Relative Power Index is designed to clarify. It sort of cuts through the propaganda. It cuts through the noise, through all the theatrics of foreign policy, all the theatrics of empire. And it answers one question: who has the power to shape outcomes without being shaped in return? That's real power. Not, you know, your military parades, not your fake GDP figures that count debt and billionaires as domestically productive. Real power is about leverage. So the RPI that we have created is a formula for functional dominance. For example, if we apply it to the United States right now, the US still has some serious muscle left. We can't pretend otherwise. It still has power. It can still impose decisions on other countries through the IMF, through NATO, through the World Bank, and so on. It still controls key systems, you know, the financial infrastructure, tech platforms, their media empires, and to some extent, trade routes, to some extent. It can still shape reality through narrative, at least in the English language. That's declining. The facade is cracking. Its immunity to retaliation is even slipping. Its adaptability is declining. All of their institutions are too calcified. Their people are too divided. Their infrastructure is too old. The dollar itself is no longer unchallenged. Even its soft power, America's soft power, its reputational authority is collapsing. People see the hypocrisy now. They see the corruption now. They see the cruelty. Okay, so internally, America is dependent on imports, on foreign investment, on immigrant labor, on dollar hegemony. Its enemies and even its allies know how to disrupt it if they want to. Cyber attacks, debt pressure, supply chain chaos. And crucially, no one in the world believes in America anymore. That's called perceived vulnerability. And it's one of the biggest forces right now shaping geopolitics, because the perception of America has always been a major factor in the decision-making and policy-making of other countries around the world. What you think America is, what they can do, what you think they will do, always mattered before. It matters much less today than it ever did. So that's declining. The perceived vulnerability of America is significant and on the rise. So if you add up the formula, our RPI formula, well, America's score comes to around plus 12, which is still powerful, but it's not invincible, and it's shrinking. Unless the US radically changes their direction, its power is going to fall below functional dominance by 2050. That's why we need accurate tools. At Middle Nation, we don't operate on fantasy or emotion. We measure real leverage. Because if you don't know who truly, then you're reacting blind all the time. You can't craft effective strategies. We're not interested in their stage performance. You know, we're interested in, as I say, the script that's written behind the scenes and who's directing that scene. That's why American power has to be scrutinized carefully. It has to be scrutinized closely to see how much of it they really have. Yes, the United States still has a relative power score, according to our index, of plus 12. It's not insignificant. They still control many levers, but there's a deeper truth here. It's not using that powerful, not really. America is a host. It's not sovereign. It's a platform not a state with independent volition. It's an instrument. Their power is no longer nationalistic. It's been instrumentalized by the owners and controllers of global financialized capital, what we refer to, as everyone knows, as the OCGFC. And the OCGFC are not patriots. They're not defending America. They're not interested in the welfare of American citizens or even the longevity of the American state itself. Their allegiance is not to the flag. It's stability, it's the asset domination and the architecture of global control. Their loyalties are liquid. And what we're witnessing now in America is the systematic extraction of American power by the A-national elites, that got built up by their power in the first place. You know, they built American power via the military-industrial complex, and then they in turn were built up by that. But now they've surpassed it. The United States was built into a superpower precisely to serve as the enforcement arm of financialized capitalism. And that project is evolving. These are now being restructured. The OCGFC no longer need a single hegemon. They want distributed control across cooperative nodes, public-private partnerships, digital infrastructure, security agreements, asset management firms, and so on. So when we calculate that the US still has decision authority, control of inputs, narrative control, you have to ask, but on behalf of whom? You know, the decisions made at the IMF are not made for Main Street. The control over trade routes that they have and supply chains doesn't benefit American workers or American consumers. The narratives that they're pushing in Hollywood or Silicon Valley don't reflect national interests. They reflect global social engineering. The Pentagon is not defending the homeland, it's defending investment portfolios. What this means is that America's RPI is no longer America's. The numbers are still there, but the ownership is not. You understand? The United States has become the strongman for an empire that it does not control, and from which it no longer benefits, really. Its power has been privatized. The state has been hollowed out. It's being used as a transnational tool to establish a new, more flexible system of a-national dominance centered around capital, not countries. So when you hear that America is still powerful, remember this: it's not the United States that's powerful, not anymore. It's what's operating through the United States. And that's why Middle Nation doesn't just analyze states. We analyze, and increasingly the state is no longer the center of power, it's an instrument of power. I mean, does the United States government govern the United States, or does BlackRock? You know, we're trained to think of power in terms of presidents and congressmen, and politicians, and so on, maybe the Pentagon. But real power is the ability to shape outcomes without being shaped in return. Like I said, that's what the relative power index, our RPI, that's what that measures. Not symbolic authority, not popularity, just raw, functional leverage. And if we use this in work to assess, for example, BlackRock versus the United States, well, the results are deeply revealing and deeply disturbing, or that should be for Americans. I mean, start with decision authority. BlackRock isn't a government agency, but it might as well be. I mean, it manages over $10 trillion, 10 trillion in global assets. That means that it has a say in nearly every major US corporation. It advises the Federal Reserve. It has executives embedded in the Treasury. When financial crises hit, Washington doesn't tell BlackRock to do, BlackRock tells Washington what can be done. So their score is a 7.5 out of 10. That's for decision-making authority, BlackRock, over America. Then you can look at control of inputs. Well, BlackRock controls the flow of capital. It controls pension funds. It controls municipal bond financing. It dictates the so-called ESG compliance. That's not just control of money. That's control of what's built, where it's built, and who's allowed to operate it. So that's an 8.0 out of 10. Movies, they're not running TV stations. Through its research arms, through Bloomberg, through think tanks, it decides what counts as sound economics, good governance, you know, responsible investing. They decide that. And if you don't align with their narrative, well, then you don't get any funding. So they get a score of 6 out of 10 on that. Then we can ask, can BlackRock be punished? Are they immune to retaliation? The United States government can't regulate BlackRock without destabilize its own economy. That's the genius of systemic entrenchment. If you try to pull out, you'll collapse the house. So BlackRock's immunity from retaliation score is how easily can BlackRock pivot, can restructure to survive outside the US? Well, completely. BlackRock is global, it's liquid, it's a-national. If Washington collapses tomorrow, BlackRock just relocates, it reintegrates, and it keeps profiting. So they get a score of 9 out of 10. Now, there's some reliance, sure. It operates within US jurisdictions, it benefits from legal shelter. But that's just a 3 on the direct dependence scale, BlackRock's dependence on America. And their exposure to disruption is practically none. There's no serious movement within the United States capable of regulating or disrupting BlackRock. So the score there is just a 2.5. And the perceived vulnerability of BlackRock, well, no one sees BlackRock as weak or in decline. If anything, they're perceived as untouchable. So they get a score of 2 out of 10. The final score, according to the Middle Nation formula, BlackRock's relative power over the United States is plus 30. That's an extraordinary figure. Not only does it outclass the US government's ability to control BlackRock, it surpasses the dominance most empires had over their colonies back in the day. It means we need to stop mistaking governments for the highest authority. No, BlackRock is not elected. It doesn't answer to voters, but it has more functional power over the United States of America than Congress does. That's not conspiracy theory. That's not ideological rhetoric. That's a structural reality. And it exposes a much deeper truth that Western democracy, so-called, has been hollowed out from the inside. What you see is not what governs, and what actually governs cannot be voted out, and mostly can't even be seen. BlackRock is not an anomaly, it's a prototype, you know? So the question is, who governs your country? And are you sure that it's your government, Americans? Because in America, the answer is no. Your government doesn't govern you. BlackRock governs the United States, not metaphorically, not rhetorically, but functionally. BlackRock has more influence over the American state than the American state has over BlackRock. So what power does the US government have over BlackRock? Do they have any power over BlackRock? Well, we ran that through our RPI system as well. Spoiler alert, they have very little power over BlackRock. And that reveals that the American government is no longer sovereign. Because really, can the American government tell BlackRock what to do? Well, technically, yes, but practically no, functionally, no. They could threaten antitrust action, but in reality, they don't and they won't. And if they tried, they'd pay the price. BlackRock has lawyers, they have lobbyists, they have leverage in every relevant agency. So relative to BlackRock, we gave the US a 3 out of 10 in decision authority over BlackRock. That's the level of a weak junior partner in a business deal. If the US clamps down, BlackRock just pivots offshore, restructures its portfolios, keeps operating globally. So that's a 2.5 out of 10 in terms of control over inputs. So what about narrative control? I mean, you'd think that the US government, with its media and its institutions, its global cultural dominance and so forth, that they could at least frame the public perception of BlackRock, but no, they don't, and they won't even try. Again, public discourse around BlackRock is marginal. You never see congressional hearings about it. You rarely even hear their name in mainstream public political debates. And when you do, it's vague and sanitized. No one's going to talk about BlackRock, not to mention all of the media corporations are actually owned by BlackRock. So the US government versus BlackRock in terms of narrative control gets a 3.5. Now we ask, what happens if the US tries to confront BlackRock? Can they act without fear of blowback from BlackRock? Well, obviously no. Any serious confrontation by the US government against BlackRock would destabilize their pension systems, it would tank their markets, it would trigger capital flight. No, BlackRock is too entangled to attack. That's what you call mutual hostage governance, except the hostage in this case is the government. So there's a score of 2.0 in terms of the ability to retaliate or the ability to control BlackRock. You simply cannot. And can the US adapt with regards to BlackRock? Could they replace BlackRock's role? Could they build alternatives, take back control? Well, not without enormous systemic pain. The state has no institutional substitute for what BlackRock does. You know, management of retirement assets, stabilizing markets, advising the Fed, on and on. So that's a 2.0 on the US government's adaptability reserve. They're stuck. How dependent is the US on BlackRock? On capital, very. On asset management, completely. on market sentiment and investment flows? Totally. So their dependency, America's dependency on BlackRock is a 7 out of 10. How vulnerable is the U.S. to disruption by BlackRock? Well, all BlackRock has to do is shift some capital. All they have to do is adjust some ESG compliance ratings or pull out of a market segment, and entire sectors of the economy could collapse. So that's a 6.5 score. How is the U.S. perceived compared to how BlackRock is perceived? Is America seen as strong and in control, or is it seen as weakened, as captured, as subservient to forces that it can no longer discipline? Well, that's a score of 7.0. If you add it all up, the U.S. relative power over BlackRock is negative 7.5. That's negative functional leverage. While BlackRock's relative power over the U.S. is plus 30. It means that America doesn't govern its corporate elite governs America. We need to be clear, this is not partnership, this is occupation. Okay, it's not military occupation, but economic occupation. You have a non-state actor that has greater decision-making power than the state. It can outmaneuver, it can outlast, and it outleverages the government that's supposed to regulate it. No, BlackRock is not an American company. It's a post-national institution. It's a private sovereign. It's a private sovereign embedded in the global system. Oh, but it gets worse. It gets worse for America. Current power is no longer its own. As we said, it's been captured. It's been subordinated to the owners and controllers of global financialized capital. They still have power, but it's not their own. But even that status, as the strong man of the OCGFC, even that status is temporary because the role itself is being phased out. The United States is being decommissioned. Understand? Not destroyed, not invaded, but strategically disassembled, gradually and deliberately by the very elites who once empowered it, because their system is evolving beyond the need, as I said, for a single hegemon. This isn't a theory. We can map it. We've done it. Using the Middle Nation Relative Power Index, we've projected the trajectory of the United States all the way up to the year 2050. And the result is quite sobering, or it should be for American citizens. I mean, right now, America's RPI is plus 12, like I said. By 2050, it drops to negative 7. A negative RPI means that the United States will be more vulnerable than it is dominant. It means that it will be shaped more than it shapes others. It will act less and be acted upon more. Okay, it will still have weapons, but it won't have control. Decision authority will be gone. Global governance is fragmenting. BRICS Plus, alternative institutions, regional pacts are rendering U.S. power frameworks obsolete. The U.S. is no longer going to be able to dictate global rules. Their control of inputs will be weak. America will be dependent on supply chains that it does not control, critical minerals that it does not possess, and foreign investors that they cannot defy. Their narrative control will be eroded. The world is no longer going to live. Their monopoly on truth, morality, aspirations is broken completely by the year 2050. Multipolar epistemologies are rising even from now. America's voice already is just one among many. It's not the most credible voice. It's not the most listened to voice. And their immunity to retaliation will be fragile in 2050. Cyber war, financial sanctions, strategic decoupling. No, America is no longer going to enjoy the luxury of being able to act without consequences. And their, what we call their adaptability reserve, was almost exhausted by political paralysis, social fragmentation, unsustainable debt, crumbling infrastructure that will choke any effort at serious reform. Not to mention there's no real desire for it. There's no will for it. Okay, so that's the dominance side of the equation of the RPI index. Now talk about dependency. America is going to be deeply dependent on foreign capital, on labor, on foreign manufacturing, on foreign resources, foreign controlled resources. And it's going to be exposed to the threat of disruption on every front, from within, from without. Their perceived vulnerability will be obvious, it will be global, and it will be persistent. So what does the negative 7 RPI mean for the United States? It means that America, by mid-century, will no longer be the central power of the international system. It will not be feared, it will not be emulated, and it will not be trusted. It will be seen as unstable, volatile, overextended, and irrelevant to the decisions that are shaping the world's future. It's not necessarily something to celebrate or to gloat about, but it's something to understand because it changes the strategic landscape. It means the enforcement arm of financialized capital is failing. The illusion of American-led order is fading, and the real opportunity to build an alternative, equitable, sovereign, decolonized, that opportunity is now. Middle nation.
All right. So that opportunity is now, and as you can see, we're stepping into that. You have to not look at 2050 as somewhere off in the future before we finish dealing with this. You also have to look at 2050 as a calm. Okay, that's 5 by 5, right? All right. I mean, he's speaking in code some too. All right, and if you listen carefully, you can pick up on it. But the thing to understand is that our opportunity is now. Exactly right. And we are stepping up to that in a big time way. Okay, this is going to be one of the hard parts along with the religious piece. And we're going to bring you more on both as the days progress and the collapse continues to progress along with it. There's no way to be prepared totally for what's coming, but there is every way to not fear, because you will understand what it means to be an individual sovereign if you go within and you do the shadow work. Literally do the shadow work. Okay? It's not a cookie cutter set tool that you can purchase or a copycat. It's you finding out who you are and how to talk and have an honest conversation with yourself that leads to the higher version of yourself standing tall in that conversation. And again, not over anyone, but self. So the collapse, the dollar and the digital piece is starting to build its momentum. You're starting to see Donald Trump push the digital coins so that they are added to immensely. Okay, every time he pushes something, what happens to it? It grows exponentially, right? It's because too many people believe his words. All right, but that's his job, is to gather the assets and liquidate them. Pretty when this liquidates. People have bought up into it, and that's okay. We can't do anything about it. They're not going to turn it loose. We all have lessons that we're going to learn over the next 2 years. This being in the first phases of it. And we're going to be okay. We have contingency plans for food shortages. We have, all right, and free energy. And we have the knowledge that the courts are going to be shut down here shortly too. Okay, and a lot of us are standing up to that and the things going on in the court systems with the people that are causing it, that are carrying it out. Some sheeple, MK Ultra folks, and some people that know exactly what they're a part of. Well, that ego is getting blue. With that being said, folks, go within. Okay, we're spiritual beings having human experiences first and foremost, right? Y'all let me know if I'm 5 by 5 everywhere. If my computer's telling me I'm not. Yep.
Yeah, you're good.
All right, cool. All right, so a lot of you were asking his name is Shahid Bolson. All right, is his name. And I'm going to share this video out so everybody can have it. And I'll put this in Telegram too. That's the gentleman's name right there, Shaheed Bolson. And here's the video link. Mrs. Sheepdog, if you help me get it shared out everywhere else, cause copy. Cause if you get that posted up in the .com too.
He's
Thank
talking
you.
a lot about BlackRock. BlackRock's the
I
one
got
doing
some
all the trade deals.
Go ahead. Yeah, they're the ones that are doing all the trade deals. That's exactly right.
Yeah, signing of the tariffs and all that. It's not Trump. It's Larry Fink.
Yeah.
Quit looking at Trump so much and look at behind and beside and around, and you'll start seeing the picture. But if you're focused on Trump, you're not going to see it. You're going to think Trump's doing it all. It's not him. It's not even Trump.
Yeah, he said the United States has been hollowed out. Right.
Same thing with the Panama Canal. That was all BlackRock for trade, shipping. Their battle with China. BlackRock's battling with China.
Yep.
That's how you got to see it.
Logistics.
Yeah, the corporation runs. Corporation's running this shit, not the president. He's just a puppet. He's just a face. That's it. I know that hurts some people's feelings, but that's the facts. Same thing with COVID.
Oh yeah.
So it looks bad.
Melanie, you stay safe. Yeah, it looks bad. It looks bad. It sounds bad, but it's not bad.
It's just exposing the corporate greed.
Right.
That they're willing to, our wages don't go up, but
the corporate greed, folks, is right. The corporate greed has been present here since 1492. Became very real in our face present in 1913 and then again in 1933 when they took the sovereignty from the people, right? They took the gold and silver from the people without, they did it fraudulently. Let me put it that way. It was illegal the way they did it. It wasn't lawful. Okay. And many of us know that story as we go throughout the years. And right now, that is something that, what is it? What's the name of the project? Banking with the Enemy, or I forget what the project name is. But in the project, it is named the United States citizen is named Public Enemy number 1. Patriot Act reinforces that, right? Patriot Act 2.0 reinforces that. Along with what else did Sheepdog show you the other night?
Aliens Enemy
What's
Act.
the other one, Sheepdog? Aliens Enemy Act. There you go.
Same.
All three tie the link in it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's why we got Homeland Security from the Patriot Act. Kristi Noem.
Yep.
And she's over there kissing the wall today. She's over there in another country looking for immigrants while she's kissing the wall, showing her allegiance.
Right. Looking for immigrants in another country. Yeah.
I guess, supposedly she's supposed to be allegedly deporting 30 million people, but that's not going to happen. That's all bullshit. I mean, you can go out in your town and look around. You're not seeing no ICE agents running around. I haven't seen anybody send me a video or a picture of anybody that's actually seen any agents or anything, deportations taking place. Nothing. It's all narrative. Don't get me wrong. There probably are taking out a few people that are, but it ain't like people really think.
Right. It ain't like people been made to believe, is I think is a better way to put it. Yeah.
They don't have the resources to do that. Hell, they don't even have the resources to take care of the homeless. They don't have the resources to take care of the homeless vets. They don't have the resources to allow these college students to attend college for free. They don't have the resources for anything. They don't have the resources for Medicaid,
United States,
Medicare, SNAP.
yeah, it's a hollow structure, folks. It's a hollow structure for a reason.
I mean, that's them saying they don't have the resources, but I know that they do. They just choose not to. And when they start doing this down, when they start cutting the budget, they cut from us first. I figured that out during COVID when
Right.
Sheila Jackson Lee, the first thing she wanted to cut here was the food bank.
Yeah.
Like, why are you cutting the food off?
Yeah, they cut the food. They cut the food bank here in North Carolina too.
Yeah. They don't cut from
Right
Pentagon.
after,
They cut from NASA.
right after the storm. Yep.
Yeah, they don't cut from Pentagon.
Yeah.
They don't cut from NASA. They don't cut from making bombs and selling guns and all that ammunition. None of that. That's still that. Actually, they actually added to that.
Yeah.
Because
In
we're all
the name of national security, right?
Yeah, killing people in the name of Jesus and stuff over there overseas,
Yeah.
taking land and just bombing people. I mean, that's kind of where we're at, and that's why we're going through what we're going through. It's kind of rough, but yeah, we're having a few price hikes here and there, but we're still breathing. We're still here. We're still vibing high and staying afloat and not letting the narrative and stuff that's taking place around us dictate what's really taking place within us, which you should be at peace right now. And they said that, there in times like this, there would be a group of people with a new song in their heart and they would be singing. That's where we need to be at. You don't need to be worried about the things that you can't control. Just worry about the things you can and take it one day at a time. And just know that everything's working out for the good for us in the long run. But right now it just looks crazy. And the power is going from the federal government back to the people of states' rights in the states instead of the federal government, because Medicaid is local, right? But it's still funded by federal monies. Same thing with Medicare. Medicare is federal, but the states are supposed to be picking this up. So I would encourage people to start getting to know who your local representatives are, because you're going to need to be getting contacting them instead of like we've been doing, voting for a president and then waiting for him to go in there and fix everything and nothing changes. You're giving your power up to corporation, federal government. You're giving your power up to them. It's when the power is local. So in order to take back your power, you have to stop being tacit, stop staying silent, and you got to get active locally. And
Right.
what they did with all these federal funds, if you notice, they always threaten the states. If you don't do this, we'll cut your federal funding, and they would do whatever the feds told them to do. So once you cut that out of the way, and you make it to where they can no longer threaten the states with federal funding, and then the states actually pick up where, the states are going to have to get busy. The governors, the mayors, just sitting back, getting that cushy job and just showing up to work and not serving the people. Them days are over, because the people are fixing to get loud and they're going to get mad and they're going to start removing people and they're going to start replacing them expediently as per the Constitution, your state constitutions. Yeah, we fund private. Is that? Oh, yeah. Yeah, we give the colleges billions of dollars, and then on top of that, the students are having to pay $100,000 for a degree, $200,000 for a degree. All that is a receipt for your payment. You can educate yourself way better than these colleges are doing. I'll tell you that. I've been there. Did a University of Houston. And it was like high school all over again. Reading, writing, math, I was like, man, this ain't what I thought college was going to be. What the hell are we still doing this for after 12 years of high school of this? But it's a waste. It's just a waste. What college did Elon go to? Anybody know? I don't think he went to college, right? Most of the people at the top, most of them, I don't think we even went to college. Most of your richer people.
Yeah, I don't think he did. Most of them didn't.
Yeah, I don't remember. I have to look into that. I don't think he went to college, but that's beside
I think
the
a
point.
lot of them passed down the secrets, and that's how it worked.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So the problem in this country is most of the wealth is at the top. Just a few percent are wealthy, and then the bottom 80% are the ones living paycheck to paycheck. So we're all in the same boat, regardless if you're a Democrat or Republican. That's how you got to look at it. Quit looking at it like this team versus that team. If you're still stuck in that paradigm, you're what's wrong. You're preventing yourself from seeing the bigger picture and realizing that we're all in the same boat, and we're just trying to get, to the other side. But we can't as long as they keep us divided. I think he may even touched on that in that video you just played about how the narratives and the propaganda and all that division, the house divided cannot stand. People are worried about trannies. Trannies make up less than 1% of the population worldwide. You see what I'm saying? That's not the issue. You got to look at the issues they got you focused on and say, why they got me focused on 8 people? Why they got me focused on 20 people or this little group of people or just a couple? Why are we focused on that? Why they got me so worried about a transgender when they've been around for decades, hundreds of thousands of years? It's nothing new. That's just one thing on top of other things.
This piece on Elon was updated.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Sorry to cut in on you, sheepdog.
No,
Sorry to cut in on you like that.
You're good.
So this piece was updated recently on Elon and Doji. All right. So it says Elon Musk is a businessman known for his leadership of Tesla, SpaceX, and X, formerly known as Twitter. Since 2025, he has been a senior advisor to United States President Donald Trump and the de facto head of the Department of Government Efficiency. Doji.
Son of right there in your face, Mike.
Right?
Most
Yeah.
people don't.
He went to university. Musk, born to a wealthy family in Pretoria, South Africa. Musk immigrated in 1989 to Canada. He graduated from the University of Pennsylvania in the U.S. before moving to California to pursue business ventures. Musk co-founded the software company Zip2. Following its sale in 1999, he co-founded X.com, an online payment company that later merged to form PayPal, which was acquired by eBay in 2002, the year Musk also became a U.S. citizen. All right, so he's only been a U.S. citizen since 2002, folks. And he is also known right now as the de facto head of the Department of Government Efficiency. Imagine that, right?
Yeah, he's fixing to focus more of his time with his businesses, from what I've read. He's only going to spend about maybe a day a week doing the Doge stuff, whatever the hell they're doing. He said he's not donating to any more politicians, too. He's done with that shit.
Right. Here's a piece I'll share on MedBeds. Let me do a little research on it. All right, sheepdog, go ahead, buddy.
Thank you, Mike, for bringing that video. I watched it earlier this week when it came out, Also with the red mercury. I'm going to try to touch up on that real quick. That they
All
found
right, cool.
red mercury in some of the mummies in Egypt.
Wow.
Yeah. It says right here, which one do you want me? Which article? This last one is good. So I'm only going to touch on it for a minute. So thousands went to drink the red liquid from the granite sarcophagus in Egypt. So this, what year was this? This came out. Okay, come on. Okay, this came out 2018. So earlier this month, archaeologists found a granite I can't pronounce that word, sarcophagus and a marble bust in a tomb during an evacuation work on a private land in Sidi Gabor, Alexandria, Egypt. And as ancient pages reported, this sarcophagus dates back to the Ptolemaic period 2,000 years ago. At the time of the discovery, this sarcophagus was sealed, but it was later opened. Speculated it might have been the final resting place of Alexander the Great, but that was not the case. Inside the tomb, experts found 3 skeletons in a red-brown sewage water is what they called it. The remains are still unidentified, but it's likely the bodies belong to dead warriors. One of them appears to have a wound. Okay, yada, yada, yada. So right here it says, what has really attracted the public is the unusual liquid, which some think has supernatural properties. Others suggest that the tomb is cursed and demons are watching over it. That means they don't want you going around it and stuff like that. They're trying to scare you. Authorities have already revealed the liquid is neither juice for mummies that contains an elixir of life, nor red mercury, but something far more pedestrian, like sewage water. So they're trying to say it's sewage water. But why would they think of red mercury? Why would they even drink it? Yeah. So right here, the deadly elixir was a shot of immortality worth the risk. This is a good one too. So here we got it. The elixir of immortality, known as also as the elixir of life, is a mythical substance believed to grant those who consume it eternal life. Various civilizations throughout human history have their own version of the elixir of immortality. Nevertheless, they are, for the most part, limited to the realm of myth and legend. In the history of China, however, many emperors, nobles, and officials are recorded to have consumed the elixir of immortality in the hopes of living forever. And in reality, however, the elixir shortened their lives and even caused their deaths, as its ingredients often included highly toxic substances. Still, this did not deter the Chinese elite from seeking the elixir of immortality, and this deadly substance is documented to have been consumed as late as in the late 18th century. The elixir of immortality is found in various cultures throughout history. In ancient Greece, for example, this substance was known as ambrosia, or the nectar of the gods. Hell, that's the ambrosia. That's the I think ambrosia is like linked to the adrenochrome type. The ancient Greeks believed that the gods attained their immortality by consuming this substance. A similar substance known as or Amrita is found in Hindu mythology, specifically in the story of churning of the ocean of milk. In this myth, Amrita was the last of the 14th treasures that have emerged during the churning of the ocean. So this is talking about it too. So this goes to China, Egypt, the Holy Grail, the cup believed to have been used by Jesus Christ during the Last Supper. Those who drank from the Grail are believed to be granted immortality. Lastly, the medieval alchemists sought to create the elixir of life, and Nicholas Flamel is reputed to have succeeded in this endeavor. So alchemy. So right here it's good. It goes on to say, according to the Taoist belief, the pure yang is the state of oneness before its division into yin and yang. The other major method of the Wadine tradition entails the use of a cinnabar, a mercury sulfide mineral, considered in Taoism to be a yang substance. The mercury within the minerals is believed to be the true yin and is extracted before being added to sulfur. That's why I call it red sulfur, red mercury. A yang substance, the process normally repeated up to 9 times, and the final product contains the qualities of the pure yang. My wife beats me, is what it says right here. T-shirt. We got crystals of cinnabar, red color from the Wansheng mine in China, an example of a material historically associated with Chinese alchemy and the elixir of life. But here's one of the clips. You see the crystals around it. This is from one of the clips in the movie I was talking about right here, where he talks about the mercury. This clip is Tropic Thunder movie clip. Never Go Full Retard at 2008. But we're going to go right here and just play this short clip. And he tells you right here.
Simple Jack thought he was smart, or rather didn't think he was retarded, so he can't afford to play retarded, being a smart actor. Playing a guy who ain't smart but thinks he is, that's tricky. Tricky. It's like working with mercury. It's high science, man. It's art form. Yeah.
See that? It's like working with mercury. Like Mike brought just a while ago. So we're going to go into, I'm going to show you some propaganda here in a little bit. I don't know. We'll try to fit this in. The propaganda coming from Bill Blondie right here. We'll go into that in a second. Let's go to, I don't know if y'all remember this. Y'all remember this guy right here? Let me see if y'all remember this guy. Let me see. Remove this. Y'all remember this guy right here?
I've had enough. Yeah, I've had enough of this horse shit. I don't give a shit what kind of law you make. I ain't going to follow it. I ain't paying my taxes this year. I just don't even care. I'm not going to be ruled by tyrants. I'm done. No taxes. I'm not following your goddamn laws that you make that are arbitrary and unconstitutional. I just ain't doing it. I've had fucking enough of your bullshit. Washington State, Oregon, California, kiss my ass. I ain't following no more laws. No more new laws that don't make no sense. Your little snitch line and all your bullshit you got going on, I'm not doing it. I'm not funding your scams and your NGOs and your fucking bullshit. Your wars, your thieving. Yeah, thieving. You loudmouth politicians that don't give a fuck about the common person. I'm done. I've had enough. I am no longer going to participate in your horse shit. And I don't give a fuck what you try to take from me. I come into this world with nothing. I'll go out with nothing. I don't give a fuck. Fuck you and fuck off. And on top of that, you best leave me the fuck alone, because you won't like the results if you come out here and try to stomp on my neck. It won't end well. I'm old. And I'm mean as fuck. Leave me alone.
So y'all remember that guy, right? Well, he's back with another video. I'm going to play it right here. He's going to talk about the big, beautiful bill. Guys, when they call something beautiful, it's the opposite. When they call something smart, it's the opposite. When they call something genius, it's the opposite. So you got smart cities. When they say something's freedom, it's the opposite. Freedom cities, smart smartphones, Genius Act, et cetera, et cetera. It's the opposite. Beautiful, big, beautiful bill. It's the opposite, right? And he's going to talk about that real quick. So I wanted to remind you of who he was, so that you'll know who this is. And I'm fixing to play right here, the same person. Here we go.
All right, you shady motherfucker, listen up and listen good. I voted for you because of your no tax on overtime bill, amongst other things. But here's the deal. I just read your great big beautiful bill, and it's bullshit. The overtime, no tax on overtime, this is the way it works in that bill. You ready for this shit? You get a $10,000 tax deduction at the end of the year for overtime, if you make less than $100,000. Well, let me tell you something, boys and girls. There are very few skilled tradesmen in this country, and I'm talking about construction workers, especially union construction workers, oil field workers, truck drivers. None of them will be eligible for that $10,000 deduction because it stops at $100,000. That's right, $100,000. Now that sounds like a lot of money if you're from Oklahoma. But let me tell you what, if you live in Washington, Idaho, Montana, California, Oregon, Colorado, even Texas, all the coastal states, New York through Florida, $100,000 is just an average wage for a skilled tradesman. Your welders, your pipe fitters, your good framing carpenters. That's just that. It doesn't get you there. It doesn't get you there, which means we'll still be taxed on all of our overtime, 100%. This is bullshit. Now, if you're at the 7-Eleven and you're working overtime, you might have a chance. But this is not going to affect those of us in construction and manufacturing. It's just not. A good line welder, most of the country, you're talking $46, $55 an hour, okay? Even more in a coastal state, as much as $60 or $70 an hour. And you work 10, 12 hours a day. This big, beautiful bill is a big pile of bullshit for skilled tradesmen. I said what I said. Bring the fucking heat. And another thing, truck drivers work 70 hours a week, every week, and they don't get paid by the hour. There is no overtime. Bullshit. This is a bullshit bill, and it doesn't even come close to addressing the people who put you in office, which are the blue-collar workers of America. So, Donnie, I'm going to fucking go the other way with this one. With this one, you dropped the ball. I'm not impressed. I'm not impressed, DJT. This is some fucking bullshit. If you don't fix this, you're going to lose this, bro. And tell your cronies in Congress, if they don't fix this, I guarantee you, 4 years from now, the majority of those seats will not be red. You pulled a lot of goddamn union brothers over to your side. And I appreciate your ideals most of the time. But this time, not so fucking much. Oh, by the way, not driving, riding. He's driving. The bald-faced fuck. He doesn't even like your overtime bill. Fuck you! There it is. You share this shit. Let everybody know what the real fucking deal is. I don't like being hoodwinked.
So he's a passionate person. He's going to use language, and that's where we're at right now. If the language is an issue, then we're going through things right now that it can be excused. But I just wanted to bring that to let you know about that big, beautiful bill. I'm sure everybody read it. But again, we got the midterms coming up, and historically speaking, when there's a Republican president, the Democrats usually win the midterms, and when there's a Democrat president, the Republicans usually win the midterms. So Republicans are really dropping the ball on this. You guys had the House, the Senate, you got the numbers, you got everything. You could have really shined, but it's not really looking too hot. But we'll see how that works out. I'm gonna play another short little clip here for a few minutes, and then we'll get into the good stuff.
Hey guys, happy Friday. Well, it looks like the Republicans passed Trump's big beautiful bill. That big beautiful bill that's cutting your Medicaid, your Medicare. Republicans did this now. Republicans passed a bill. The Republican-controlled Congress passed a bill, Donald Trump's so-called big beautiful bill. It's cutting your Medicaid. It's going to cut your Medicare. It's going to cut your SNAP benefits. It's going to cut your Social Security benefits. And all kind of other little goodies in there. The Republicans are voting for things like there's never going to be another election. Have you guys noticed that? They're backing anything this man does as if they would never have to rely on being elected again. They're passing things that are, in normal times, political career ending. They're putting their names to things that normally would mean the end of their political career. So what is that telling you? They're voting like they know something you don't know. They're voting like they don't need your vote ever again. And not to forget, Trump told y'all during the campaign, if you vote now, you never have to vote again. So it seems to be looking like, to me, the Republicans don't ever expect to have to win your vote again. That's why they're voting against all of your benefits. They're voting against all of your rights. They don't have to worry anymore about you putting them in office. That's what it seems like to me. Right? And then just recently, Mike Johnson, the leader of the Do Nothing Republican Party, the Do Nothing Congress Republican Party, he came on the other day in front of America and I guess tried to do this heartfelt plea of how, the Congress salary hasn't been raised since 2009. And they just cannot make it on $174,000 a year. And they're taking these positions to serve us, so they're sacrificing. They're sacrificing.
Congress needs a raise, huh?
To service us, the American people. So in order to do that, to serve us, and at the sacrifice supposedly that they're giving, they want the American public to go along with them committing insider trading, which is illegal, which is against the law. And they're basing it on because their salary hasn't went up since 2009. I have one question. The minimum wage has been frozen at $7.25 an hour since 2009. So should those people also be entitled to committing insider trading? Should they be allowed to do illegal insider trading? Because they surely cannot make it in this economy off $7.25 an hour. So if Mike Johnson is trying to justify committing a crime of insider trading because they can't make it off $174,000 a year, surely the people that are only making $7.25 should jump to the front of that line, because I know damn well they not making it. And Mike Johnson, while you up here hollering your salary is $174,000 a year, your net worth is between $6 million and $10 million. What?
Oh.
How are you not making it? How are you not making it? If you never make another dime, you got enough money to last you the rest of your life. But you want to go out and commit crimes. You want you and your Congress to be able to go out here and commit insider trading because you're greedy. So people, what they're saying is you're not paying them enough to take your health care. You're not paying them enough for taking your veterans benefits. You're not paying them enough to take your Social Security. You're not paying them enough to take your SNAP benefits. They need more money to continue to ruin your life. Do y'all get it yet? Do you get it? They have a whole plan up their sleeve for you, and it's not good. They're voting like there's no election tomorrow. Because my thinking is, according to what they're trying to pull off, it won't be another vote. It won't be another election in this country. Think about it. Why do you think they would be voting like there's no repercussions? Why would they be voting as if they don't have to answer to anybody at the next election? Think about it, people. Think about it. It has gotten to the point to where if you don't stand up and pay attention to what is really going on, by the time you try to wake up, it's going to be too late. Do you know that, remember Project 2025? Do you know that they are just about at 50% of completing all the things they had in Project 25? I think they're at 40-some% of it. In 100 and something days, they have 40% of their agenda completed. See, that's what they wanted to do the last time Trump was in office. They didn't realize that Trump was so incompetent that he couldn't get anything done. So this time they weren't taking the chances. All those executive orders you see Trump being handed and explained to him because he hasn't read it, and you know, look on his face, he don't know what the hell he's signing. That's Project 2025. They've taken the position of what Trump was supposed to have done last time. So they're going to make sure it gets done because they're the ones doing it. Remember, it was even said that people from Project 2025 would be writing his next, would be writing the articles or the bills for his next election. So MAGA Republicans and Trump supporters, y'all play right into their hands. And you dealt a devastating blow, not only to the American people, but to yourselves as well. You're losing your farms. You're losing jobs. You've been laid off left and right. DEI no longer. White women, y'all got hit the hardest. As quiet as it's kept, you guys were the biggest benefactors of DEI. But they want y'all back at home in them kitchens, so. No more corner offices, no more CEOs, no more executives, no more the only woman on the team. Proud of yourselves? Because it's just the beginning. Keep waking up in the mornings to more and more loss, to more and more poverty, to more and more of your rights being taken away. Until the day you look up what Donald Trump is king of the United States. Because that's what they are booking on. And that's what they're trying to sneak through that 1,000-page big, beautiful bill that they wanted them to do in 3 hours, 1,000 pages. It's all kind of little traps in there. It's all kind of little trickery in there. They're doing this man bidding. They are more afraid of a demented, senile,
So it's going to get worse before it gets better. But like they were saying in the bill, it's talking about bypassing the Supreme Court, which makes the president the king. No checks and balances, nothing. You got to go look at the bill. Don't take my word for it. But I think it still has to be voted on in the Senate. Am I correct? It still has to. So we'll see what happens, but things are going to get worse before they get better. Let's go to, here we go, right here. The Trump admin is using new language to describe gas prices when adjusted for inflation.
As we head into the Memorial Day weekend, a quick update
This is from Mr. Global on YouTube.
on gas prices. According to the fuel savings platform Gas Buddy, the national average price of gasoline is expected to be $3.08 on Memorial Day.
Oh shit! I thought it was supposed to be $1.98. No, what happened? Hold on. Did I
As we
have it?
head into the Memorial Day weekend, a quick update on gas prices. According to the fuel savings platform Gas Buddy, the
So you can go to Gas Buddy and find out what the gas prices are nationwide if you really want to see. But let's listen to what she's got to say here with this. And he's gonna make a good point. It's a real short clip.
platform Gas Buddy, the national average price of gasoline is expected to be $3.08 on Memorial Day. We expect that to continue to decline because of the president's energy policies, but this is down from Memorial Day last year. And adjusted
I want y'all to notice she's reading from a script, piece of paper.
for inflation, it's the second cheapest price for a gallon of gas on Memorial Day since 2003.
Ah, did you hear that? A new wrinkle in the gas price argument. Now it's when adjusted for inflation. And maybe it's because people weren't buying the gas prices are low argument they kept making. And the reason people aren't buying it is regardless of the price of gas adjusted for inflation, one thing we know for certain is that wage growth has never kept up with inflation.
Did y'all hear that?
Certainly not over.
So your wages aren't getting any higher, but inflation is. Just like she was talking about earlier in the last clip. Minimum wage is only $7. It ain't been up. It went up since. So the prices go skyrocket, but your employer is still paying you the same salary, same pay, same hourly pay. They're not adjusting. You're going to have to get with your employer. Let me go ahead and finish this up.
With inflation. Certainly not over any long period of time. And this is why people feel the gas prices, because their wage growth doesn't keep up. It's why they feel the food prices. It's why they feel the housing prices. It's why they feel all these prices. But instead of focusing on that wage growth, they focus on those prices, which does what? Further depresses wage growth, right? If companies can't make a profit, people's wages can't grow. So when you factor in wage growth with inflation, since they want to say, when adjusted for inflation, you're still paying roughly 24.5% more for gas than you were in 2003, like she claimed. You see, you can't just pick one data point out of inflation and just run with it, because wages don't grow at the same rate of inflation. If they did, if wages were based on inflation, you would never have to say adjusted for inflation. But if they've had their eyes opened up to adjusted for inflation, maybe they now understand that $60 oil means $40 oil. Maybe they get that now. I doubt it. And it's funny that after the OPEC 2020 deal expired and gas prices started dropping, I was using adjusted for inflation because Republicans were screaming that gas was still $3.50 or whatever it was. I was trying to make them understand that gas prices are never going to go back to what they once were, like they all believe is going to happen. They all believe they're going to get $2 gas. And now that the administration is saying adjusted for inflation when talking about gas prices, they're trying to send that exact same message, that gas prices are never going back to what they once were, which is exactly what they promised they would do. Thanks.
Drill, baby, drill, right? Over and over and over and over. There was a lot of promises made that haven't been kept, but we keep being told that.
We dispense the quorum call and have you recognized. Without objection.
We keep being told promises made, promises kept, promises made, promises kept, over and over and over, and then we actually believe it. If you repeat the lie enough times, people actually start believing it. It's like when he said gas was $1.98, and everyone went around talking about how gas was $1.98, which was a lie. So what we're seeing is, just like during the JFK administration, JFK was surrounded by a bunch of, he didn't realize it, but as he went on it throughout his administration, he came to the conclusion that the only person he could trust was his brother. Everyone around him, and that's why I tell you to look around, look at who's giving Trump the fake news to share, who's giving Trump the fake $1.98. The gas was $1.98. Who told him that? That's what you want to know. Who told him that? So he doesn't know. He doesn't go fill up his car. I don't even think he has any cars. And he doesn't go grocery shopping. So just like during the Kennedy administration, he's surrounded by snakes, people with an agenda, right? And you can see that with the MS-13 thing, where he said the guy had MS-13 tatted on his hands. That wasn't true. The white farmers in Africa, that was in Congo, not Africa. That was false again. And he shared the news articles on TV and showed everybody these clips of crosses lining the roads. That, all separate events, not in South Africa. So they got people focused on white farm. And what does it matter what color they are, the farmers in Africa? And why are you focused on Africa and not America? Why aren't you? Where's the crosses lining the freeways for everyone that died during COVID, the scamdemic? Where's that at? Where's the outrage of genocide in this country, and the murdering of innocent people? Why is that not the main focus? Why are they deflecting, showing you this, showing you that? Well, why didn't he call out Netanyahu for genocide when he was in the White House? Why did he call out the president of Africa? Which turned out to be all. He's given these things, and I want to say Stephen Miller is one of the culprits, but he's given these things, and I don't know if it's because he's setting them up or allowing them to do whatever it is they're doing, or whatever, for whatever reason, the sting operation, whatever you want to call it. But what's taking place is Trump is being fed a bunch of shit, and it's making him look bad, but it's not him. It's his responsibility to look into it, but before sharing it, especially when you tell everybody fake news, that's fake news, this is fake news, that poll's fake, this is fake. And then he turns around and shares the same fake news articles. And they end up being, once fact checked, they end up being in Congo. The issues with rebels and the civilians down there in Congo had a battle, and 1,000 people were shot and killed. Yeah, stuff like that's happening. I'm not saying there isn't things not going on in South Africa or worldwide, but what I'm saying is he's been given a lot of fake news articles, fake stuff that's turning out not to be true, like the gas, the MS-13, tattoos, South Africa, et cetera, et cetera. So the attention's like, it's never ending. It's like, look over here, no, look over there, look over here, look over here. It's like all these different directions instead of, like Mike says, go center, focus on home, focus on what we got going on here. And I believe that for the most part, that's what most people have wanted out of this administration. But what we're getting is quite the opposite. And what is required and what's needed is for put down your left versus right shit and join in the fight, because it's not a party fight. It's not a left versus right issue. It's the people versus waking up to the corruption that's taking place and the gaslighting that's taking place from these politicians. Like the lady in the last clip said, Congress is wanting a raise. Like, really? We got people out here struggling, that need raises, that ain't had raises in probably 20 years. So here's another fake news person right here. I'm going to play this little short clip, and then we're going to get into another video. Here's a prime example of fake news propaganda from Pam Vardy right here.
Since Donald Trump has been in office, DEA has seized over 21 million fentanyl pills. That's 21 million lives saved, in my opinion.
All right, 21 million lives saved, 21 million fentanyl pills.
Days later.
Since he's been in office, DEA has taken 22.2 million fentanyl pills off the streets. This is 119 million lives.
Now we just times 20 million lives saved. Now we're at 119 million lives saved.
Donald Trump has saved since January. Pretty remarkable.
24 hours later.
President Trump, your DOJ agencies have seized more than 22 million fentanyl pills, which saved, are you ready for this, media? 258 million lives.
258 million lives now. So we went from the same amount of pills, 20 million, to 119 million. Now we're at 258 million lives. She basically saved the whole country. There's only 330 million people in this country. So this is the propaganda. This is what he's having to deal with. This is the gaslighting and 22 million pills that we would have to slice each pill into eighths, and each of us take a little piece of it in order for that to even take place. Not even a whole pill, a piece. So I'm pointing it out so you could recognize it. People buy this and they think that, and they eat it right up, not realizing that she's full of shit.
Which says, you ready for this, media? 258 million lives.
Since Donald Trump has been in office.
Okay. So that's what I'm saying. They're telling him this stuff, and I don't think he doesn't realize it's not true. Maybe I think he's smarter than he's playing, but we'll see.
People do not see things unless you point it out to them. They're going to go right past symbols and emblems and never even suspect what they're looking at. And unfortunately, in America, especially, even when you point things out to Americans, they don't even care. They don't see any value in it and knowing about such things. But when you begin to look at the symbols of politics, flags, coats of arms, national coats of arms, corporate seals, logos for big corporations, and there was a movie many years ago called The Beautiful Mind, where the doctor was able to, because of his gift of pattern recognition, was able to see encoded things in magazines.
Really good movie.
Whatever. And he was a master decoder of codes because it was just obvious to him. Well, it's the same idea struck me when I was in my mid-teens.
Yeah, you seen that movie? You seen that, Mike?
Absolutely. A Beautiful Mind with the same guy that played Gladiator, Russell Crowe.
Oh, okay.
Very good movie. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's what this is all about. A lot of people see the pattern recognition, the synchronicities, and just like in the They Live, where they were able to see the subliminal messages and stuff. Your Bible's even laid out that way too.
Seems to be patterns, and nobody told me this. I just began to see it, that there were patterns in symbols and emblems and words and terms and coats of arms, as I said, and flags around the world. It didn't take me very long to figure out that there is a world of symbolism that's organized. It's very highly organized around the world to communicate through mass media. It's an incredible world we live in of communications through visual symbols and emblems. Classic example, you go to in Washington, D.C., if you go on television any night to CNN or any of those news, or even on the regular news at night and television, and you will see in Washington, D.C., some crooked politician making some kind of a big speech about something, and they're all crooked. But you'll see the politicians making a speech at Washington, D.C., and it's where the president, in that room where the president gives his State of the Union message. And I have asked so many people, and they've seen that room, they know where it is. And I said, well, did you ever see the symbols, which are sitting on both sides of the podium where the president stands? The symbols. They never even noticed. And I said, my God, they're about 8 to 10 foot high, and they're right on both sides of where the president's standing. And those symbols, next time you get a chance, look at the podium, and don't look at the goofball and the paid lackey who we call politicians in America. Both sides of a presidential podium is a symbol called a fasci or a fascis. It's a bundle of sticks with a hatchet head. And it's an incredibly important symbol. And it's a symbol that came out of the ancient world but was picked up by the Romans and it began to be very important in the Roman Empire. The fascis symbol, which is a bundle of sticks, like I said, tied in crosses. You'll see it's tied in crosses, and it has a hatchet head. The reason why well, first of all, the symbolism of the bundle of sticks. The idea was that one stick can be broken. 2 or 3 sticks can also be broken. But if you have a bundle of sticks and you tie them together as one unit, we like to say that, well, America has a coalition. We're all collected together like a gang. We've got the Crips and the Bloods and the Hells Angels, and we've got all these gangs, and we collect them together as one unit. And it's politically, we call it a coalition of governments. Just one example of thousands that you can see every day. People see the American flag, the stars and stripes, having no idea in the world. Even Americans have no idea in the world that's not an American flag. It's a U.S. flag. The United States flag is not an American flag. How many people know that the U.S. is a term? This country.
I just want to point out the flag, the real flag right here, peacetime flag.
States flag is not.
See it? This is what it's supposed to look like. This is what you're supposed to fly on your homes, stuff like that. It's the peacetime flag. We've all.
Yeah, the Emperor said. Yeah, the Emperor said. Sorry, sheepdog. The Emperor said to fly that flag with 2 of the Confederate X flags, because it's a double X, the chromosome on the female chromosome, right?
Yeah.
They thought it was racism, but it was really a cover up, right?
And you fly it facing down, not sideways.
Down, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
You fly the Confederate flag
like the X,
facing down, both of them.
Yeah, down. Yeah. Which resemble the which was the lost tribes of Israel, right?
The mitochondria DNA in the woman. Yep,
and
absolutely.
The stars, lost tribe. Yep.
Yep.
How many people know that the
and it's red and blue?
U.S. is a term.
Absolutely.
This country we call the United States of America is a republic, but the word United States in law means a corporation, a privately owned company. And so all corporations or privately owned companies, by law, if you're incorporated, you have to have a president. It's called corporate law. So you must have a president. And corporate law says if you're going to be a corporation, anybody can have a corporation, but you got to follow the rules. You got to have a president, a vice president, and a secretary treasurer. That you have to have if you're going to be a corporation. So today, there's a privately owned company in this country called United States Corporation. It was incorporated back in the 1870s. And it has a president. So Bush was the president of the corporation. Today, Obama's the president of the corporation. But people don't understand the United States is a privately owned company. It's a corporation. It does not represent the American people at all. It's a corporation. Go on the web or go to a library and look up the subject of corporations and look up United States Corporation. You will find the United States Corporation, which is headquartered in Washington, D.C., is a privately owned corporation. So it's a company. And as any other corporation, like I said, they got president and vice president, secretary, treasurer, but it has nothing to do with America as a republic. It's a privately owned company. And Americans just go about their daily business, surrendering their sovereignty, surrendering their free will, surrendering their children, surrendering everything they have to a damn privately owned corporation, a company. So it's I don't know, the world is strange. But as I said in the beginning, the American flag is not an American flag; it's a U.S. flag. It's a flag that was designed for the corporation. And the stripes and the stars and stripes are totally different on an American flag than what they are on a U.S. flag. Another thing, I mean, it might not be of importance to people in other countries, but in America, you ask a person today in America, how many states are in the Union of America? They'll tell you there's 50 states, 48, plus Alaska and Hawaii. So it makes 50 states. Actually, in point of fact, any good corporate attorney would tell you, no, there's 100 states in the corporation, not 50, because there are 2 states within California. Within every state, there are 2 states. There's a state of California, and then there's a California state. Cal State is a very familiar term to Californians.
Think mirror.
State utilities, Cal State Police. We have California State. California State, and of course we, in New York you have California or New York State. We'll say you go to New York State University or New York State Police, but there's a world of difference legally and lawfully between California State or Cal State New York and the state of. The state of New York is totally different than New York State. So it's a totally different thing. So it's a totally different government. So in America, in the United States, you have to understand that there's 2 different operations going on simultaneously, but the people have no idea. All they know is California. No, there's California State, which is the state itself, and then there's the state of California, which is a federal corporation operating within the state called California.
Like here, they always say state of Texas. They're talking about the corporation.
So anytime you see state of Virginia, the state of Alabama, which is different from Alabama State, the state of means it's a federal corporation called United States Privately Owned Federal Corporation, which is operating within the state of Alabama. So there's the Alabama State, which is the state itself, and then there's the state of Alabama, which is the corporation in Washington, D.C., operating within that state. And so it's a world of difference, but they're very specifically important to know. When you're doing business, when you're in, especially if you're going to court, you need to understand, are you going to court under the state of Alabama or Alabama State? The laws are totally different. But how many Americans understand any of this? How many Americans even care? Well, the reason why most people are not interested in the kind of information that I've been talking about for God knows at least 50 years. I started doing this back in 1959, and I started going public with my research back in 1980. But we're talking about 30 years I've been publicly talking about something, and 50 years I've been doing it. But the reason why my work is not as successful as I would like for people to know about what I'm talking about, a lot of people don't know. And the reason why is because my work has nothing to do with basketball, nothing to do with football, or the silly, nonsensical, little childish games that they give us adults to play. So Americans are famous for being infantile. We love to go out and have hamburgers and hot dogs and watch a ball game, and like with the kids. No, you're going out there because you are a kid. You are the kid, and you want to be entertained. So we go watch a ball game. Now, when I was a kid, when families would come over to visit my family, after dinner, the men would always end up in the front room with the cigars and wine and talking men talk, and the women would be out in the kitchen or wherever and talking among themselves. So the children were always told, go out and play, go play ball. I was smart enough, even at 7, 8, 9, 10 years old, to figure that they want you to go out and play ball. Why? Because they're adults and they want to talk about something adult that they don't want you hearing. And my first reaction was, and I always had problems with this, I would tell my dad, I don't want to go out and play ball. I want to hear what you're talking about. I want to hear what the men, I'm a man, I want to hear what the men are talking about. And it's not for you. This is not, it's on, and my dad would always say, it's on a need to know basis. You don't need to know. Go out and play ball. So that's today what our politicians tell us. This is on a need to know basis what we're doing. You don't need to know. You go out and play ball. So the way my dad would handle it is that we all, the kids all that were there loved my uncle, my dad's brother. He was great with the kids. So my dad and my uncle would get up and go out and play ball with us. So now, once my uncle and my dad are going out to play ball with, now the kids want to go out and play with the adult. Now it's fun. And about 5 minutes after we're into the game, of course, my dad would get tired. He has to go in. And my uncle would, a few minutes later, he had to go in. But the kids are now playing ball, and they're occupied now. And so that took care of that, to get the kids to go out and play ball. Well, the same thing is happening in America. This is why in all ball games, always, football and basketball, and I don't care, tennis ball and soccer. I mean, America loves ball games because we're just a bunch of children loving ball games. But in all the ball games, you will always see movie stars. They will zoom in on movie stars who are there at the game, or the president's there, or the senator is there with his wife watching the game. So it's like, the adults are out watching the game with us kids, and they will have the president go out and throw the first ball. Then he's coming out to play ball with us, I saw through that crap a long time ago. I don't care who's at the ball game. I want to know what these guys are doing at 2 o'clock in the morning. I want to know what they're doing at 3 o'clock in the morning in their secret meetings.
All right, you heard him. 2 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning, with their secret meetings. He wants to know what they're doing, right? Well, that just took place, didn't it?
Yeah.
It just took place when with this bill that they just all signed their names to, right? At 3 a.m. in the Capitol, the Speaker of the House pauses to share his place of prayer. House Speaker Mike Johnson of Louisiana poses for a photo in the Congressional Prayer Room. Wow, look at what's on the stained glass. This is May 22nd, 3 o'clock in the morning. Who prays at 3 in the morning? It's the witching hours, right? And then we see George Washington.
Right.
Then we see George Washington, where they say their prayers. And then we see above George Washington, the all-seeing-eye with the pyramid. Ovis scored. This is the New World Order pyramid, stained glass, prayer room, 3 o'clock in the morning, 3 a.m. in the Capitol, 1 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock in the morning.
With the fake George Washington in it. Not the George Washington from Barbados, who has a different skin tone than that.
Right.
Imagine that.
This is their Illuminati, secret societies. Down on one knee, praying George Washington. This nation under God. Their God is government.
I want you to believe.
Ordinances and departments. They want you to believe what?
They want you to believe that, that it's the Freemasons, the 33-degree Freemasons. No, it's the Illuminati, folks. Okay? the Illuminati infiltrated everything in every society, including the secret ones. All right.
Yep.
Remember, we're showing you.
Yep. So I wanted to point that out with this video. What he's talking about right here. We'll go back to it. Play it.
Watching the game. So it's like, oh, the adults are out watching the game with us kids, you know, and they will have the president go out and throw the first ball. Then he's coming out to play ball with us, you know. I saw through that crap a long time ago. I don't care who's at the ball game. I want to know what these guys are doing at 2 o'clock in the morning. I want to know what they're doing at 3 o'clock in the morning in their secret meetings, planning the demise of my country and planning the destruction of human freedom. I want to know who these criminals are. I'm not interested to see them at a ball game. I'm not impressed with the ball games. I'm not impressed with them. I'm trying to be a more realistic adult human being, and I don't like being played for a fool. And that's all America is doing, is playing everybody for a fool. It's about time we wake up and find out this ball game is over. The whole world is coming to the place where they're beginning to awaken to the fact that we've been had. All of us on the earth. It's not just Americans. We're the first ones to go because we were the most ignorant of all. All around the world, people were ill-informed, but America is big time stupid. We don't want to know. We're just having fun. Well, those party days are over. I think all the Americans are beginning to suspect there might possibly be something wrong in America.
I was just saying the other day, in Iceland and in Greece, they realize they're on the front lines right now. Yeah. America has no concept that they are on the front line too.
America is even worse than all of them because when this country goes, this is the Roman Empire right now. We are the modern day Roman Empire. We are Rome. We are the great Egyptian empire of the pharaohs. The Mississippi, according to the secret societies, the Mississippi is referred to as the Nile.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's true.
The Nile, you have all the cities on the Nile. Memphis,
exactly. I was going to say.
And Cairo, all these cities named after Egyptian cities on the Mississippi. Why? It's because America is perceived by the founding fathers as the great restoration or the reborn empire of the Egyptian empire to dominate the globe. And then, of course, once the Roman Catholic Church moved in on us, they saw what was going on, that there's all this bunch of bull about freedom and liberty and justice for all. The Vatican said, no, thank you. No, you need to remember the Vatican has for over 3,200 years, Rome has dominated Europe under the Roman Empire of the Caesars, and then for the last 1,600 years under the Vatican. Rome, the Holy Father, runs Europe, period.
Well, when you look at the history of Rome, I mean, even from the earliest time, the history with Rome was run by specific families, specific gentes. The Gentilician period then becomes the imperial period.
And in what way is that different than our great republic now being raped and destroyed by the powerful families behind the scenes, the Rockefellers, the Warburgs, the Schiffs, all of the very dark conspiratorial apparatus behind banks, and how many people in America know banks are nothing more than funds for insurance companies? Insurance companies are the major stockholders of our banks. Yeah, and so that's why in America you have to have insurance on your car and you have to buckle up when you're driving. It's because the insurance companies, and the reason why you have to have insurance on your car and you have to buckle up when driving, probably have to do that now in Europe for the same reason, but the reason why you're doing it in America is because Americans think, well, the government wants to protect us so we don't get hurt. Well, that's true. But why? They don't mind killing people all over the world in wars, hundreds of thousands of innocent women and children being murdered in wars all over the world, so they don't really care about human life. But why are they asking you to buckle up and be safe? It's because your body Your physical body is a security on the New York Stock Exchange. They own your body. It's called Maritime Admiralty Law, the law of the sea, or the law of water. And since you are 90% water, whatever it is, you are mostly water. So they refer to human beings as Maritime Admiralty products. You are what is referred to as a human resource. You're not a man or a woman. Incidentally, if you go back and look at the correct English, there are books out about the English language and the correct use of English language in law and government. And if you look at the books on law and government and the English language, you will find that a man or a woman is referred to in law as feminine and masculine. But an animal in law is a male or female. This is why on all of your information, your ID, all your driver's license or whatever, it's always, are you male or female, not masculine or feminine. Masculine and feminine is for man and woman. But male or female is for a human being. A human being is, by law, in a court, a human being is not considered to be a man or woman. It is considered by law to be a Maritime Admiralty product. And that product is on the New York Stock Exchange. So your birth certificate, which represents your flesh and blood body, is a security on the New York Stock Exchange. You are nothing more than a human resource. You are an animal, a male or female animal that's being bought and sold by the corporation called United States Privately Owned Company. So once you understand how, and most people cannot relate to my words, they have no idea what I'm talking about. It's so foreign. But I do what I do to help those people, that small select handful that will be hearing me, who actually have a brain and who are actually used to actually thinking and reading and studying and researching. That's who I am appealing to. Just that small, minute handful who want to know the real truth about how the world really works. Because once you understand how this tune is played, we call government, commerce, international operation of government, education, military, it's all business, just like the mafia says. I don't have anything against the mafia at all, but I love that one saying that they have, is very famous. The mob will tell you when they get ready to kill you, this is nothing personal. You know, like in the movie Godfather 1, when Michael and the Godfather, they're all sitting around with the attorney in the front room. And the attorney says, Michael, this is not personal, Michael. It's business. It has nothing to do with personal. So the killing of people around the world is nothing personal. It's just business. It's commerce. We're doing business. And sometimes, we ask a country if they will do something and they will sell us this or do this or not for us, and they say no. Well, that's okay. We'll just send in the Marines to whip your ass, and then we'll take it.
And again, looking at the symbolism, if you look at the flag again that's sewn under the military uniforms, all of them always have the maritime fringe on the gold fringe around, and they're backwards.
Yeah, they're always backwards. Most people don't notice that they're backwards.
I mean, I understand what upside down means.
That's right. Upside down means
distress.
That's right.
But to put it backwards and then to indicate that it's maritime law. I mean, what have you got to do with maritime if you're the Army?
That's right. Well, actually, the Army is a branch of what is called internal security. General Motors, Ford Motor Company, Sears. All big corporations in the world have something called internal or in-house security. In-house security means that big corporations have their own little police department. And so if they catch you stealing something or doing something, they will apprehend you right there right there in the factory, right there in the store. They have their own security. Now they can't They can't put you in jail, but they can hold you and then call the authorities and turn you over to the authorities. But the point being is that they have the right and the authority to arrest you, with the in-house security. That's their property. That's their corporation. They own the property, and you have done something, stole something, or broke something, or whatever. They have the right by law to arrest you and hold you for prosecution and give you to the authorities. So it's called in-house security. So the United States Army, the Navy, the Marines is what we call in-house security for the corporation called United States, which is a privately owned company. So if you're in the Army or in the military in America, you're not working for the American Republic to protect America. You're working for a privately owned corporation. Wake up, get a life. That's why all over the world, our military or the military of the United States think that they are out there to protect America. And they're supposedly out there to protect the Republic. And what way is the American military today in any way, shape, or form protecting the great Republic of the United States of America? What way are they protecting us? They're out all over the world doing whatever it is they're doing in all the countries of the earth. And the few that are here are now on the streets with guns to make sure we're in compliance to the masters of our country, to the communist or Nazi SS Gestapo masters who own America. Our people are now being herded around like animals by the military, who are nothing more than in-house security for a private corporation. I think the whole world situation is just incredible. I don't have any words for it. The only reason I'm telling you all of this is because I'm 70 years old and I'm not going to be here much longer. And I just feel it's an idea whose time has come to tell the people what's really going on. You've been had. The whole world's been had, because there is no freedom, liberty, or justice anywhere. In America, it's a favorite saying in America, the judges will tell you there is no justice, there's just us. And so I don't have any faith in America, and anybody who really believes in American freedom and liberty and justice has not experienced America. They must be out in the loonies of Mississippi to believe that, because anybody who has more than 500 brain cells going in the same direction and can read and understand what's going on must know that we are now a totalitarian fascist dictatorship, and we go from one side to the other. In America, you have the Democrats and Republicans. You cannot have a third party. I don't care how big you are. I don't care how much money you got. You cannot have a third party. You must either be a Republican or Democrat. There's a reason for that, because you only have two eyes. You can't have three. You only have two arms, two legs. You don't have four legs. You only have two. And so the symbol for the Roman corporation back in the ancient Roman Empire was an eagle. And the eagle only has two wings, left wing and right wing. So that's why we have left wing and right wing politics, because the eagle only has two wings.
I have a quick question, if you don't mind. What's the difference in terms of, you see a lot of eagle symbolism everywhere.
Yeah.
And my question is, you see the single-headed eagle, and then you see the double-headed eagle. What is the difference between those two symbols, or are they similar?
That's a good one.
Other than that.
Oh, other than that. The eagle, first of all, the eagle in ancient history and all the ancient cultures of the world, the eagle has always been important. I think that's fascinating too. All the ancient cultures of the world always use the eagle. The eagle in every case always, no matter how ancient the culture was, the eagle always represented the sun. The sun was the giver of life. It was the one that brought warmth to the earth. It brought light to the earth. It was the energy that brought light to the earth with its energy. It was the dominant power in our little world that we live on here. It is the sun. Without the sun, we're dead. And so the sun always represented the bright, brilliant power of light. And so therefore all of the Nazi, communist, fascist, bloodletting murderers who saw themselves as world dictators always used the sun They were the great enlightened ones who brought power to the world and energy to the world and all that stuff. So the eagle originally represented the sun, which is very interesting because most of the secret societies behind world government are based on the worship of the sun. Like Christianity, that was nothing more. Christianity was nothing more than a cult, a very successful cult, but a cult nonetheless. The Christian church today is a very, and all Christians, I'm talking about Catholic and Protestant, all forms of Christianity that calls itself Christian are, in point of fact, a cult. But they're very successful. They got a lot of money and they're a very big cult. Well, I mean, so is, you could say the Mafia, La Cosa Nostra in Sicily is a cult. It's a private association. Criminal, but it's a private cult. And you have to join it.
Well, but no less criminal than the Vatican, certainly.
And of course, the Vatican is the grandmother of all cults. So the Vatican is a lot more than you think it is. There's a whole story about that. But so the eagle represented the sun. The sun represents power on the earth and enlightenment. That's why all the enlightened, intellectual, brilliant people use the sun as a symbol for their enlightenment. But the double-headed eagle actually goes back into ancient history. Had nothing to do with Rome at all. I think it was Etruscan. And I seem to remember that it was also used in the Middle Eastern countries like Iraq and Iran thousands of years ago. That's a very interesting subject. I've done some research on that many years ago, and I don't even recall exactly, but that's something for you to look up. The double-headed eagle, which of course is used in Freemasonry and Masonic orders, but it's also used in many other fraternal orders around the world, and government seals.
The Germans, it's used as the symbol for the Vitesse football team in Arnhem, which the Germans call Arnheim. And when you look at it, you know, I think that if the Nazis were using it quite as much, and they're still in Germany using it today, even post-Nazi era, that it probably in some way would tie back to the Teutonic Knights as well.
Absolutely. We can bet on that, yep. And it's interesting, too, is, you know, it's been proven over and over and over again by documentation that's been collected over the years by really top-of-the-line researchers in America and around the world, in Europe especially, that the Nazi movement is anything but dead. And that all the big German corporations like Mercedes and Volkswagen and IKEA and all those big corporations, they're all secretly financing Nazi activity in Central America, South America, Brazil, Argentina. Argentina is getting a lot of money from these big corporations like Volkswagen and IKEA and Mercedes. And I've always been amused at how the Jews talk about the dirty, rotten Nazis, and yet all the Jews that I know in LA are driving Mercedes and Porsches.
And what they don't know is that at a given time, all the doors will lock and the heaters will all go on.
That's right, exactly. And, you know, nothing new under the sun. It's the same old stuff. People buy into those things that they don't understand. But it's a fact that the big German corporations today, like I said, IKEA, and those are just ones that come to my mind. The big ones, corporations like Porsche, are, in point of fact, still financing the Nazi movement in America. Money is coming from those big corporations to secret societies, secret Masonic orders, and German orders in Central South America, Mexico, and here in America. We know that for a fact. So I just say to the world, well, keep buying your Mercedes and your Porsches and
Bear aspirin
and Bear aspirin and all the exactly Bear aspirin developed at Auschwitz.
IG Farben, yeah.
IG Farben.
And then what do? They put Fritz Tamir, they put him in jail for about 6 years, and then they put him in charge of Codex Alimentarius because he hadn't murdered enough people.
I mean, it's just business, though. You're taking this personal. It's not personal. It's just business.
Just business. Don't take your death too personally.
Don't take it personal. I figure you're going to die anyway. If you're going to die anyway, we might as well kill you ourselves. So.
And make a profit while doing it.
Well, of course, we're talking business here. We're talking commerce. And so, and the people, I'm amazed how many people supposedly living in an enlightened country have no knowledge of any of this.
If you enjoyed this video, make sure to check out the next one right here on this channel.
That's Jordan Maxwell. This is the best of Jordan Maxwell on YouTube. There's a lot of videos on here that you can check out, share.
Really good. Yeah, really good stuff.
That's all I got, other than I just want to wish everybody a happy Memorial Day, and just tomorrow. Tomorrow's my mom's birthday as well, so we'll just wish everybody a happy Memorial Day. You got to honor those that sacrificed their lives, regardless of
a big happy birthday to Mama Sheepdog.
Right. Yeah, her birthday's tomorrow, so I'll be spending time with Mom tomorrow. Might cook for her. Stuff like that.
Right on. Right on.
Also, just keep in mind that most of the military members that join, just like in their hearts and in their souls and even in their minds, and they truly believe that they were putting their lives on the line for all the right causes and not the wrong ones, like we've just heard. Same thing with law enforcement. I think the same thing. A lot of them are out doing the same thing. But they end up finding out quite the opposite of what's taking place. That's okay. It's part of the awakening process. So no disrespect to any fallen soldiers or anybody like that.
We got breaking news in Telegram. The Telegram chat. Someone just heard Trump is sending out stimulus checks on May the 32nd. Hang on, folks. Help's on the way, right?
Yeah, Mike, there's no May 32nd.
Right on. Shoot, dog, I didn't mean to interrupt you, buddy, but
no, that was a good one, though. Whoever put that in the chat, that was pretty genius.
Mr. Alvin. Right. All right. It is going to get better, and it's going to get worse, and it's going to get better, and it's going to get worse. But you want to know something? If you're sovereign, you're living free. You don't have any of those worries. All that pertains to those people that want to get caught up into it, right? We're learning how to operate in it, but not get caught up in it, right? And remember that. Like he said, tomorrow is Memorial Day. We won't have a show tomorrow unless something breaks, right? And right on, Angus. And I won't be taking phone calls tomorrow either, folks. I'll be waiting down at Sheepdogs for the meal that he's cooking his mama. I'll be sitting there with my little what you call it around my neck, sucking on my pacifier, waiting patiently. My bib, yeah.
I'll break out the high chair.
Sweet.
We got that baby penny.
That's right. But no, seriously, folks, spend time with your people tomorrow, okay? and spend some time with yourself as well. It's our turn in a lot of different ways, and we are coming together, and we are standing up in many different areas. And it's a beautiful thing to see and be a part of. And I look forward to seeing you Tuesday night at 7. Love you all. Have a great night.
My hands may shake, but when I speak, a truth won't break. Clouds roll in, shadows high. I stand tall, won't step aside. Lightning strikes, fire in my chest. Thunder calls, I won't forget. Fear may shout, but I push through. Ain't no storm that tells me what to do. Storm was loud, but so was I. Wind came strong, but I stood high. Now the sky is big and bright. Fear is gone, truth shines light. Storm tried to shake me, test my